Oh my gosh, you guys, hello and welcome to Her Money Mindset. I'm your host, Courtney Schwangler, and I am really glad that you are here. First off, before I even get into my intro, I just want to say I'm so sorry for not having a podcast episode come out last week. I got a new phone and completely spaced on the fact that Apple changed the charger from whatever they had before to a USB-C. And the way I record, I have like a receiver that plugs into my phone, and then I have my microphone that I talk into. And my receiver was only worked for the old phones and was not a Type C. So I had to buy a Type C one. And then life just got busy. We had to buy a new washer, a new dryer, and a new microwave all at the same time because they all decided to just break. So life just got busy. So I'm so sorry. I am so happy to be back chatting with you guys. And yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way and let's get into it. This podcast is a space for women who want to feel calmer, more confident, and more aligned with their money, not just on paper, but in real life. We talk about money, mindset, and the habits that we carry that shape the way we earn, spend, save, and plan for the future. But this is not just a numbers and spreadsheets kind of show. Here on Her Money Mindset, we talk about the emotional side of money. The stress, the guilt, the fear, the pressure to have everything figured out. And more recently, we're also talking about what it actually looks like to release control, trust God more deeply, and steward our money in a way that actually supports the life that you're trying to build. Now, whether you are living paycheck to paycheck, rebuilding after a tough season, or simply trying to be more intentional with what you have, this podcast is for you. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to be willing to take the next small step. Now, each week we will walk through practical tools like budgeting, saving, debt payoff, and financial planning, but we'll also get honest about the deeper patterns behind our money choices, the beliefs we learned growing up, the habits we picked up when we were in survival mode, and the ways that we sometimes try to control money instead of letting money support us. My goal for you is to leave each episode feeling less overwhelmed, more grounded, and more confident in your ability to make money decisions that align with your values. Before we jump into today's episode, I do want to let you all know that my budgeting tools will be linked in the show notes for you guys, like always, and that includes the budget spreadsheet that I personally use. And right now, we are in the process of paying off our mortgage. And if you're interested in that, I document that on my socials. So go follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's at Courtney Schwangler, my name. I'll also have that in the show notes because I know you're probably thinking, girl, how in the world am I supposed to know how to spell your last name? Don't worry, it took me a minute to learn how to spell it too. But this is the budget spreadsheet that we are using to help us pay off a $549,000 mortgage. So if you're interested in that, go follow me on my socials. Go grab that budget spreadsheet. It includes debt payoff trackers, and it includes my mortgage payoff calculator that I'm using to track my extra payments towards my debt. And it helps you see how your extra payments can change your timeline so drastically, and how something super small like $100 can save you $500 or more on interest. It's a super great tool. 10 out of 10, recommend, although I am a little biased. I made it myself, so I really enjoy it. I love it. It'll be linked in the show notes. And then if becoming debt-free is a bigger goal that you're working towards, whether that's credit card debt, student loan debt, car debt, your house, whatever it might be, I also offer my Mortgage Freedom Blueprint. And this is a set of training modules where I walk you through both the strategy and the mindset behind becoming debt-free. This is designed with mortgages in mind, but the framework can absolutely be used for regular debt payoff too. Like I said, including credit cards, car loans, personal loans, student loans, whatever kind of debt you have, right? And you can explore all of these resources through the links in the show notes. And then as an exclusive thank you for being such a loyal podcast listener, you can use the code HMMPodcast for 15% off. Again, use code HMMPodcast for 15% off. And if this podcast has been helpful for you, I would so truly appreciate you leaving a review. This helps more women find the show, and it truly means a lot to me. One thing I did not realize when I started a podcast was how hard it is to get reviews. So even super popular podcasts, their reviews are really low. So I would love it if you are a loyal listener, if you show up every single week to listen to this podcast. It would be such an honor for you to leave a review, and it can be anonymous if you would like. I would just love it. It helps push out the podcast to more people, and it reminds me that there are people out there who enjoy listening. All right, let's get into today's episode. And this is a conversation that I've kind of been thinking about for a while, because I don't think that we talk about the connection between mental health and money in general enough. Sometimes I don't even think people realize how strong of a connection that it really is. You know, we talk about budgeting as a tool for getting out of debt. We talk about it as a tool for saving money or building wealth, but we rarely talk about what budgeting does for your mind. And I really truly believe that when you learn how to manage your money intentionally, your mental health is going to improve. It's not going to be dramatic, it's not going to be overnight, and it's not going to be in a way, certainly, that replaces, professional help, medication, or therapy if your mental health is in a place where you need those things. But it's going to be a very real and noticeable everyday way. Because money stress, that doesn't just hang out in your bank account, right? It's going to follow you into your kitchen when you realize that you're out of groceries again. It's going to follow you to your car when you realize that you need to buy gas. It's going to follow you in your marriage when you guys are arguing about money and trying to figure out how you're going to make things work. It's going to follow you in your grocery cart when you're trying to add everything up in your head and see if the numbers work. It's going to follow you into your bedtime routine with your kids, feeling guilty. Do they have enough toys? I feel bad I can't take them to the zoo or to the aquarium, 3 times a month or 4 times a month, or I feel bad we're not able to do activities with the kids all the time because it just costs so much money, right? It becomes background noise in your brain that is just always there. And it's a subtle tension that you always carry. And sometimes you might not even realize that you're carrying it. And when your finances are chaos and when they feel kind of cloudy, your nervous system rarely feels calm, cool, and collected. And as a woman of faith, I'm still, coming into relearning what it means to be a Christian. So don't take what I'm saying to be perfect. I'm nowhere near the level of a pastor, right? I'm still learning scripture, and I'm still learning, how to trust God and how to talk to God and all of these things. But I've had to wrestle with this personally because scripture talks about peace. It talks about trusting God. It talks about not being anxious. And yet so many of us who believe in God still feel constant financial anxiety. Does that mean that you're doing something wrong? Does it mean you have no faith? Right? And the answer is no. The answer is no. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you lack faith. It means that you're human. And it means that faith and planning were never meant to kind of be in competition with each other. They're meant to work together. And sometimes in Christian circles, I feel like we can swing too far in one direction. We'll say things like, oh, God will provide, and then you just stop there. And yes, he absolutely does provide, but provision does not eliminate stewardship. And trusting God does not mean ignoring your numbers and burying your head in the sand. It means making an effort, making an honest effort to improve your situation and to steward what you've been given, and then God will provide. He will continue to bless you from there. You have to be willing to put in the work. And in fact, when I finally stopped avoiding my finances and I started budgeting consistently, I felt much closer to peace and not any farther from faith. I wasn't trying to control everything. I was trying to steward what God has given me. And there's something that is pretty grounding about saying, Lord, thank you for what we have. Now, help me and guide me to manage what you have given me wisely. And budgeting becomes less about fear and more about obedience when you make that mindset shift. And that is really going to help you. And I'm saying that as someone who has been there, right? I'm saying that as someone who's been there, who's still learning how the intersection of God and finances. And maybe that should be a podcast episode. Let me know if that's something that you would be interested in me talking about. I think that would actually kind of be interesting, how God and finances line up. So leave a review, or if you're on Spotify, which I love, you can leave a comment. So let me know if that's something that you would find interesting. And also, if you ever have any topics that you want me to talk about, just leave it in a review. I read all the reviews, so just let me know, hey, I would love to hear more about X, Y, and Z. And I will make a podcast episode about it. All right, let's talk about why financial uncertainty can have such a huge impact on you and why it can feel so heavy. And when you don't have a clear plan, your thoughts are going to be running constantly in the background. And you're going to be trying to do your day-to-day things, and your brain is just going to be going on overdrive. I hope this doesn't overdraft. I think it'll be okay. We're going to figure it out somehow. And even if you're not actually saying these words out loud, they're in your brain, they're in your subconscious, or you're aware that you're consciously thinking them, right? And this constant uncertainty keeps your body braced, right? Like, you're not in full white knuckle panic mode, but you're not really fully settled either. You're kind of waiting. Like, you're in a hesitation kind of period, right? And your brain was not designed to feel secure when you're in that kind of environment. And while we are called to trust God, we are also called to act with wisdom. And we have to find the duality in doing that. There's a difference between surrender and passivity. Surrender says, God, I trust you with the outcome. And sometimes, do not get me wrong, there absolutely is a time and place for surrender. But wisdom also says, I will do my part faithfully. And it's about how do we find the connection and the duality and the intersection of surrender and wisdom. And when you start seeing budgeting as your part, not your burden, but your part, this is going to remove a lot of pressure from you. And I think you'll be surprised at, the shift that you'll start noticing in your overall well-being, your overall mental health, your overall stress levels when you have a plan for your money. Debt is stressful. Overspending is stressful. These things are stressful. But what is more stressful is not having a plan for it. What is more stressful is not being intentional with your money, and it's just going all of these random places. And what's stressful is not even knowing how much you owe, not even knowing how much money you have. When you start budgeting, when you start making a plan, your mental health is going to improve because you're going to have the knowledge. Now, I've worked with women across all income levels, and the common theme here is not how much they make. It's not. It's about how clear you are on your money. Do you even know how much you make? Do you even know how much debt you're in? Do you even know how much money you're spending every month? Do you know these things, right? Because clarity helps you. Clarity improves your mental health. Clarity changes how you react when your spouse does something that's kind of annoying. Clarity is going to change how you're going to respond when things pop up, like my new washer and my new dryer and my new microwave, right? The clarity in knowing that I had the money to pay for it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, it makes such a big difference, you guys. And that's why I do these podcasts. And that's why I'm talking to you and trying to get you to budget, to make a budget, because I want you to feel that same peace of mind, that same kind of comfort. There was a season in my own life where I avoided my own numbers. I had no idea what was going on with my money because I did not want the confirmation that things felt tighter than I wish they were. I did not want the confirmation of how much debt I was in. I did not want the confirmation of the fact that something needed to change. I thought it was just going to be easier to avoid everything. I told myself that once my life calmed down, I would sit down, I would organize everything, I would finally get a handle on my life and blah, 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 whatever, right? But peace did not come from ignoring my money. It didn't. Peace came from facing my money, from laying out our income, our bills, our debt, and our goals, writing them on a piece of paper, making my budget spreadsheet. And I honestly, when I finally sat down to do that, I expected to feel guilty. I expected to feel terrible. I expected to feel shameful. But what I felt instead was relief. Because no, the numbers were not perfect. They kind of sucked, but they were visible. And once I could see them, I could understand what needed to change. I could understand what steps I needed to take to move forward. And once this happened, I started being able to plan specifically, praying specifically. I could act specifically towards these goals and towards this momentum that I wanted to build with my money. And there is something that's pretty powerful about moving from this vague anxiety to clear, defined action. Without a plan, every purchase that you make is going to become a small internal debate. Your brain is going to redecide the same thing over and over again, and that kind of repetition is draining. It is draining, you guys. When you build a structure, a lot of these decisions are already made. You've already decided how much money you're going to spend on groceries. You've already decided how much money you're going to put in savings. You've already decided how much money you're going to tithe. You've already decided how much money is going towards debt and which credit card you're paying off first. And when you tithe, you feel you can do it without being nervous if you're going to have enough left over, right? And it has intention, and you can be a cheerful giver. And yes, giving matters here too, because when your budget improves, or when your budget includes generosity, even in small amounts, you're going to notice a spiritual shift. And this is something that I'm kind of newly learning about tithing and giving and being generous. You move from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset and a stewardship forward mindset. You remember that money is a tool and your money is not yours. It's God. It's God's money, right? And you're helping other people in the way that God is helping you, and you will find yourself blessed. That doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get mailbox money, right? Maybe you will. That happens to people all the time. Maybe you'll get a $500 check in the mail. I don't know. But look for the other blessings in your life and start looking to see how things fall in place when you start giving to others. And if you're craving this sort of structure with your money, but you're not really sure where to begin, this is exactly why I created my budgeting spreadsheet. It's simple, it's clear. This is designed to help you see everything in one place without feeling overwhelmed. You can track your expenses. It walks you through your income, your expenses, your savings, and your debt all in one place. So you can move forward from guessing how much money you have to actually knowing. And it's linked below in the show notes if you're ready for that kind of clarity. And don't forget, use code HMM podcast. That will give you 15% off of the budgeting spreadsheet as well. Now, Let's talk about the emotional weight that debt can carry. And even if no one else sees it, you can feel it, right? You can feel the weight of the world, right, on your shoulders. And shame and doubt and guilt, all of these things grow in vagueness. But when you have strategy, when you have a plan, when you take action, you're going to notice that I tried to combine shame and guilt. You're going to notice that shame, that guilt, that just weight is going to get smaller the more you have a plan and the more you have a strategy and the more you lean on God to help you figure these things out. When you write down your balances and you build a payoff plan, you're going to move from feeling trapped to feeling like everything's going to be okay. You stop asking, is this ever going to end? And you're going to start asking, oh, what can I do extra this month? How can I, figure out a way to make an extra debt payment? And it's not going to feel like such a burden anymore. And the mortgage freedom blueprint that I talk about pretty often was originally designed to map out mortgage payoff strategies, but it really works beautifully for regular debt payoff too. Credit cards, student loans, personal loans, because this shows you how consistency can change your timelines. And when you can see the impact of even small extra payments, it builds up hope in you. And hope matters. It matters spiritually, it matters emotionally, and progress reminds you that seasons change. No season lasts forever. It reminds you that discipline will compound, and it reminds you that God can multiply faithfulness over time. So, if you have believed for years that you're bad with money, that your identity leaks into everything, you hesitate to dream bigger because you just don't trust yourself to manage more, you might actually be scared of being successful because you don't trust yourself with it. When you start budgeting consistently, even if it's not perfect, you're going to begin rewriting that identity and you're going to become someone who shows up. You're going to become someone who looks at the numbers. You're going to become someone who makes adjustments and doesn't freak out when an adjustment needs to be made. You're going to become someone who doesn't quit when it feels uncomfortable. You're just going to keep moving forward. And that kind of growth is going to build a confidence in you that extends far beyond finances. And you are going to notice your mental health improve. And when your internal dialogue shifts from, I can't handle this, I can't do this, I can't, to, I am learning how to handle this. I can figure this out. I can. Your mental health is going to stabilize. Now, scripture talks about peace that surpasses all understanding. That kind of peace does not mean that your circumstances are flawless. It means that your foundation is steady. You have solid ground to stand on. What a blessing. And budgeting will build that steadiness. Budgeting will help you pour down that foundation of building. It's going to help you. It's not going to eliminate hard seasons. It doesn't guarantee that your income is never going to fluctuate or that expenses are never going to pop up and surprise you. But it gives you the framework to respond wisely instead of reacting emotionally to what happens. And when your finances are intentional, your mind is going to have more space. You're going to have more patience. You're going to have more clarity. You're going to have more confidence. And you're going to notice that you're slowly but surely going to stop living in a way where you feel like you're waiting for the next shoe to drop, like you're braced for that impact, right? Like I said, not quite that white knuckle grip, but kind of close to it, right? You're going to notice that stops happening over time. It's not an overnight thing. It takes time, but you're going to start living in a much more prepared way. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, that is okay. This is an overwhelming thing to talk about. But what I want you to do is I want you to start small. I want you to write down your income. I want you to list your bills. I want you to list your expenses. I want you to list your debt. And then I want you to decide where your money is going to go this month. And if you need a spreadsheet, go grab mine, linked in the show notes. It is super user friendly. Okay? It's not overwhelming. And then I want you to pray over it. I want you to invite God into the details. Instead of asking Him to fix what you won't face, because that's not how it works, right? You can ask God for something, but you've got to be willing to put in the work. You've got to be willing to put in the legwork, and then God will meet you where you fall short. There is strength in stewardship. There is strength in prayer. And if your mind has felt heavy lately, I want you to consider whether financial uncertainty might be contributing to this more than you might realize. And I want you to understand and I want you to know that you're not weak for feeling stressed. You're not faithless for wanting some structure in your life. You're not behind for needing a reset, because clarity is going to support peace and stewardship is going to support trust. And when you combine faith with action, you are going to notice an internal shift. Now, if this episode resonated with you, I would be so honored and so grateful if you would share this episode with someone who carries quiet money stress. And if you are ready to finally build some clarity into your finances, my budgeting spreadsheet and the mortgage/debt freedom blueprint are linked below in the show notes to help you create that plan step by step. Use code HMM podcast for that discount. And remember, you deserve peace in your finances. You deserve peace in your mind. And you are fully, and I mean fully, capable of building both. I will see you in the next episode. I hope you guys have a blessed week, and I'll see you in the next one.